I'm waiting for you to say it.
I was gonna say this is
I'm
really
waiting
weird.
for you to say I was like fully prepared for it to happen because I
Pause
didn't
the
want to start.
music.
And there it
There
is.
it is.
Dirty.
Wrap it up.
Okay.
Oh,
Welcome back,
Whoa.
ladies and gentlemen,
right.
to
Cut that out.
another.
Yep.
You're being rude
Continue
to
the
me.
music.
Unbelievable. Okay.
I'm not gonna listen to
Ignoring Mikey. Welcome
Thank
back,
you.
ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of No Place Like Homaha. I am your host, JD Wonder, alongside my co-hosts, Nick Hendricks and Mikey Love. We have a special guest for you today. Again, Mikey can give a little bit more of an intro. But yeah, he had a very, very good conversation. Hit it. Tell us who we're. Tell us. Stop
shit.
smacking your face.
I thought we were just gonna roll this into the video. Yeah. So we've got Coach Sonny Sunagel with us today. Coach Sonny, as I call him. I can't do the full names with coaches, as you know. I had the pleasure, of having him 4 years ago as a summer coach in the Cornbelt League. Dear God, words are hard right now.
Today, Junior.
But yeah, coach is a player's coach, just like Coach Hobbs is. They have similar philosophies, but also different philosophies. They're different and the same in their own unique way. But they both definitely know what they're talking about when it comes to baseball, when it comes to baseball IQ, when it comes to philosophies, all of that. They've been around the game for a long time in their short lifespans. Yeah, they're very knowledgeable, and I'm just excited to have them on the podcast today.
Cool. Roll it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest on the podcast today. Mikey, would you like to do a brief introduction? And then, Coach, you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, so we've got an amazing guest with us today, Coach Sonny Sunagel, or Coach Sonny. I only had the pleasure of having him for a coach with me for one summer, unfortunately. But yeah, he's been a coach in the Cornbelt League for what, going on you had 4 years this past summer?
Yeah, it was 4 years. Yes.
Yeah. So Omaha's been blessed to have another great coach in the area. I know you're great friends with Coach Hobbs, who we had on here on our last episode. And that's kind of how I met you.
Yes.
I'll say I don't know. You kept a lot of things close to the vest, which I respect, but I know that you are very knowledgeable about baseball. You've been all over the nation, and I think you've even been to some international stuff like in Puerto Rico and whatnot.
Yes.
But yeah, just super knowledgeable. He's another team guy. He's a coach. He's a player's coach for sure. And I loved having you for that one summer that I did. It was truly yeah, amazing, and just something special to me. So thank you for being on here.
You're welcome. It's a great time with you, Mikey. It's when you go to those leagues, you're meeting people for the first time. You try to hurry the relationship a little bit because you only have so much time in the summer. So sometimes you don't get to sit down and talk to everybody, but you get to feel them out, and they feel you out, and then everything hopefully goes the way you want to. Sometimes I have my things, attitudes, philosophies. Sometimes they conflict because there's a lot of baseball philosophies out there. So you just try to meet that point where you can get along in the summer, and we go from there. And we did that. So thanks.
Yeah.
So just kind of building off of that, then, being a coach or as a player going into a coach, same kind of difference. What's some philosophies that you've kind of, locked down, that are kind of your key hitting points?
Well, I ask the kids when they get there, what do you want? Why are you here? Why are you here this summer? It's not about me, it's about them. So you ask, why are you here? Are you wanting to get better at something? I'm here to help you. Is there something back at school that you have to get accomplished this summer so that when you go back to school, you become a better player or a better teammate or whatever that is? Okay. So we try to get that conversation going right away. Yeah, there's a few things that I was taught by my mentor, who was Bob Morgan. He was my coach in college, and then he went on to become probably one of the best coaches in Division I history. I learned a lot of things from Bob, and one of the things is that no matter whether it's summer or your season, baseball's a difficult game, and you have to come with the right attitude in order to compete on the field, no matter what level it is. And if you aren't prepared for that competitiveness on the field, sometimes baseball eats your lunch. And so I'm always pretty adamant about guys focusing in on what they're doing that day. If afterwards, if whatever they want to do within limits, right? Within limits, it's their time. But on that field, baseball's still hitting, catching, running, and playing it in a way that's respectful to the game. That's all I ask. And for the most part, once that's known, things go pretty good, you know. So I look at attitudes, and when you have scouts that call you and ask you about players, a lot of times the first question is, how are they coming to the field now? Are they dragging their bat? Are they kind of and then you get to some statistics. So I always tell the kids, hey, you never know who's going to be around. You never know who's going to be there. So always strive for your best, because that day could be the day that the eyes are on you. And I just try to hold to that, you know, respect the game.
So kind of just building off of that then, what would be like one thing that you look for in a player? And you kind of hit on it where you're like respecting the game, but what's one thing? Because we talked briefly before on this podcast about what some coaches look for. We mentioned Tim Corbin. When he was interviewed about it, he looks at a player's locker to see how organized they are, how much they respect their equipment, right? It's the things that happen outside of the field. So what's one thing that you look for in a player that's kind of different than what you can see on the field?
Well, necessarily I don't look for one thing, but you mentioned Tim Corbin, and I was watching an interview with Tim Corbin the other day. It's funny you bring him up. He was coaching under Jack Leggett, and Jack sent him to go scout a young man that was playing that day. So Tim went, and he was standing by the fence by the dugout, and the young man was on deck. And he said the young man looked up in the stands and, you know, kind of went like this. And the next thing you know, Tim said he turned around, he saw his mom bringing a water bottle or whatever it was down to him on deck, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, mom drops the water bottle over, and and then when he's done drinking it, the young man takes it and throws it over the fence and never said a word to his mom. So when Tim went back, Jack asked him, what do you think about this kid, Tim? You know, what about the program? Coach Corbin says, hey, there's no doubt he has talent and skill. He can play, but I don't know if he's going to be right for our team in the locker room. And I'm going to tell you why. He didn't say thank you to his mom. He threw the water bottle over the fence. He didn't say one word to his mom about that. And so here you got a guy that's a Division I, won things, all those things, and that's what he noticed about that young man that day, and brought that back to Jack. And guess what? That young man didn't join the program. He went somewhere else, but he didn't go to that program. So, you know, you got to have kids that are, they're going to have individual talent. Well, how's that talent going to work with you? I watch them play on the field. I watch how they interact with their teammates. That tells you something about a young man. Sure. Are we going to look at speed? We're going to look at arm speed. We're going to look at power. You're going to look at how he takes swings. Yeah, you're going to look at all those things. But boy, oh boy, when it comes to the locker room, We all know, we've all played. I imagine you've all participated in something. You know what that means. You got to have that locker room type of mesh. Not everybody, but for the most part, you got to have that good teammate that's going to help you out and not cause a problem in the locker room, because that's a difficult time for a coach.
Thanks.
I
So
agree.
basically, you're saying it's more the things on the field. Obviously, will take you as far as they can, but it's those things that are not measurable by numbers that are kind of important to you. So like how they respect their elders, or like how they respect those around them.
Yeah.
Obviously, respecting the game. I know that's a huge thing for a lot of people. So it's the little things like even cleaning up the dugout after a win or a loss.
Yes.
Obviously treating your teammates well, like you've already stated. Just those, it's the little minute things that you think don't matter in the long run that could actually be a huge deciding factor for scouts then.
Yeah, let's go back to that example. And Tim mentioned this a little bit more, and I'll use him, even though I've said the same things in the past, but I'm going to use Tim because he's been very successful. He said, if he can't respect his mom, is he going to respect us? Is he going to respect our program? Very interesting point. Now, I'm sure you're going to have different levels of thoughts from coaches across the nation that might say they might overlook that part. You ask me what I look for. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for skill, but I'm also looking for that good person, that person that can make that team go. Yeah.
Wow.
Sweet.
So I would kind of say, touching along with that, you've coached looking at your resume here, you've coached in a lot of different leagues from 2015 kind of onward. What were some of those similarities where you saw kids that were great with talent and that were great on a personal level, on a coachability level, and everything coming through that? And did you see kind of a lot of similarities between every single league that you coached in? Because like looking at it here, you coached in the Perfect Game League, South Florida, New England, Puerto Rican. Did you see kind of all those similarities kind of coincide?
Yeah. It's all relative. Okay. So when like in the New England League and the Perfect Game League, those leagues are dog eat dog. I mean, you come to the you better come to the game every day, and you better be ready to play. Not to say that the other leagues aren't that way, but their emphasis was a little bit different. So it's all relative. Yeah, I saw the same thing. I've coached some great kids that, you know, when they call you after you've done coached them, and they say, "Hey, coach, how you doing? How's things going?" And they'll ask you about life, and maybe you can still talk to them. Man, that's what coaching's all about. I mean, that's what it is. But go back to your question. Yeah, I've seen that, and I've also seen situations where guys have great talent, but man, they just don't get the big picture. They don't get the big picture. They're not good with their teammates, and somehow that causes a little bit of a conflict. But yeah, I've seen it at all levels. No matter what level you go, you're going to have the different types of situations that baseball and kids present to you. Remember, the experience now is you're working with college kids that, hey, you're gonna live and die with kids that are 18 through 21. What are they thinking the night before? What are they doing this? And yeah, it's a great scene. I've met a lot of great kids.
So, and also with that, you coached with or you had Bob Morgan as a mentor as well, and especially just the program that he built. But baseball IQ, we've talked about it a lot on a bunch of our shows, and we've talked about just how important that it truly is. How would you say that baseball IQ plays into everything on developing a full all-around player?
I'm going to make a statement here, and I'll probably get a lot of jabs and things about it, but I believe baseball IQ is down. I've seen some things happen on the fields at all levels. that I'm amazed at, because when I was that age, I knew that already. I don't, there's a lot of factors in today's world that cause that. We used to go down, and I know here comes, oh man, when you were this age, you used to have to do this. Hey, I'm just spitting out what I think is the truth. And the truth is that we used to go down to the ball field 6 hours a day and play ball and swing and all day, 5 days a week. I had great coaches, but to be honest with you, that playing there helped out a lot, because you're working with your eye-hand coordination and playing that. I don't see a lot of that going on today. I mean, maybe in certain areas there is, but even in my area right now, I drive around, baseball fields are empty. And there's a lot of factors to that. Not as many kids in society now. A birth rate has gone down in America, so you don't have as many kids in that neighborhood that can get together and go play. Obviously, computer technology. I have to be honest with you. Fortnite and all these things. I know the kids play them, but I haven't played an ounce of it. So, but I think, and here's a shocker, and it kind of slapped me in the face as a coach. Coaching high school baseball, head coach at a big school. After practice one day, I asked him, "Hey, how many of you watched the game last night?" Now here's 20 kids in a circle, 2. Now this was back in 2008, 2009. 2 kids raised their hand that they watched a baseball game last night. Now that was shocking to me. That sent my antennas up a little bit to say, okay, your coaching has got to start addressing this, because I assume they know some things at that level, at the high school level, but had to take a step back and maybe reteach some things that maybe you guys knew at a younger age, where I just am shocked at the IQ. It's not as good. And of course, that's a general statement. Yeah. I'm sure there's kids that have IQ, but for the most part, I've seen less of it. And
interesting.
That bothers me.
Yeah. So to kind of build off that, Mikey.
No, go ahead.
So to kind of build off that, is that kind of one of the foundational things that you then try to teach now, like adjusting to maybe your coaching style to be like, oh, I see less of this, so we need to hit on this more, kind of in the elementary stages of teaching the sport?
Yeah. So what I do is I try to there's a facility here that I do lessons, and I try to teach coaches how to coach. Not that they don't know that, but just try to mentor them in the coaching. And yeah, I've had to go back and redo practices. Because some of the things that I knew at a younger age, these kids are not getting for whatever reason. And so, yeah, you have to change your practice a little bit to bring that down. Now, when we get into the summer leagues, I hate to say it, but there's been some of that in the summer collegiate leagues. I don't know. Yeah, there's some plays that happen on field, and I think to myself, And in the summer collegiate leagues, it's not like you practice every day. These kids are going out to play every day, so you don't get a lot of practice with them. So what you're trying to do at that point in time is, when they come off the field, you go back and you say, hey, tell me, did you know this? And you're not trying to offend anybody. You're just trying to say, hey, did you know this? And they go, well, no, not really. And I'm like, okay, let me tell you something about that. So yeah, some of the practices have been rearranged to handle that IQ. I think some of it are like secondary plays. The secondary play that's happening on the field. Sure, they're focused on the main play, but what about the secondary play? Let's give an example here. Ground ball hit to there's a runner at first, ground ball hit the third base, and he throws it to the first baseman. Well, that runner going to second base could possibly be going to third, but I've seen instances where the first baseman just grabs the ball and starts tossing it to the pitcher, not thinking about the secondary play that would happen on that. And so you got to go over that in practice with the young kids. You know, you got to say there's not only one play, there could be something else that's happening. And going back to baseball IQ, I think that's what I'm referring to a little bit about. I see it not being there. So that's something that you have to do in practice. Yeah.
So
Mikey, we've been sitting on you for a little bit for questions. Go for it, bud.
Just interrupt.
I know.
So it's more, and just building off of the one that Josh just asked. So it's more like kids aren't, I guess, seeing the full play kind of develop. They're seeing the main one, like you said.
Yes.
But they're not thinking one or two steps ahead of what could happen, or they're not anticipating what might happen.
Yeah, I've seen that lately. You know, even with the young teams that I work at over at the facility, I see the same thing. You know, and the reason I can make that statement is because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it happen. And you know, that's some of the things that would take place at the ballpark, doing it on your own, just playing pickup games and figuring that out. And I remember a lot of times our coaches, when we were young, or not young, but middle-aged, didn't have to talk about that. We just knew some of that stuff. We knew that it was going to happen. Now, not everybody, but for the majority of the good baseball players, they would know those things. And I just see that it goes to watching games again, you know, watching games, being a student of the game. How many games are you watching? Are you seeing all this stuff happen? And then I'm asking how many of you watched the baseball game, and they didn't. So how are they seeing that? If it doesn't happen on the field in front of them, or you don't do it in practice, they don't know about it.
So let me ask this, and then this might, I don't think this probably won't piss anybody off, but I know, like, at least back a couple years ago, a lot of coaches were looking for players who were dual sport, or, you know, played 2 or 3 other sports on the side of baseball. Are you one that believes in that, and that could be a reason why some of the players aren't getting those hours or those reps of, you know, kind of seeing the field or being able to anticipate because they're off playing football or basketball or like swimming or something? And if so, like, I don't guess, do you back it, but is that kind of what you think is good? Is the dual sport athletes? Or?
Well, I'm gonna, you know, I don't like to label or pick on people, right? So I'm going to use myself as an example, and you know, you don't mind if I do that. Like, okay, I'm playing when I'm young. I'm playing different sports. You're outside doing things. You're playing pickup basketball. You're soccer, whatever you were doing. You were playing the different sports, and then as you got older, it got a little bit more refined. The amount of time it would take to do. I played football, wrestled, and played baseball my sophomore year in high school. Well, the wrestling, you know, I like to eat meat and potatoes and all that, and I was having to lose weight. So that probably had something to do with me dropping the wrestling program, okay? But it wasn't for me. And I knew that if I was going to go to college, I had to focus more. But I played football and baseball in high school. You know, it didn't distract me. I enjoyed it, and I think it developed me in a different way. So I always encourage kids. When I was a high school baseball coach, what are you doing this fall? Our exit meeting out of the season would be, what are you doing in the fall? Well, I'm not doing anything. Oh, yes, you are. You're going to either run track, or you're going to do something, or whatever. Of course, I couldn't make them do it, but I was suggesting go play other sports. Go do that. Go play other sports. And I think it develops different skill sets and muscles and whatever. But I think today, man, kids are torn. They're getting pulled in a lot of directions. And when you get the smaller school systems and that kid's a good athlete, They want him on everything. They don't want him singled out for baseball. They want him football. They want him basketball. They want him baseball. And those kids are probably going through some tough times. Yeah. So I encourage kids to play different sports. But yeah, it probably, if you're not going down to the local ballpark and that, where you might be playing different sports, but you're sitting at the house and you're not getting out doing those skill sets of the other things. Yeah, I think that could be a distraction.
Could another thing be, I know at least around the Omaha area, little leagues are kind of becoming an obsolete thing in a way. And everybody's kind of going to that select kind of baseball organizations where they do have, you know, dads that are coaching, and that's not a knock on dads that coach and everything, but some of them coach just because they don't have coaches to fill that role, and therefore they might not have all of the knowledge that say like you would have, or you know, another dad who might have played college baseball. Some of the dads maybe just played it in little league or like a few years in high school. Could that thing, you think, be another reason as to why um that the baseball IQ is kind of down these days, or do you think that's not a factor at all?
Well, you definitely opened that can of worms now, buddy. Okay, so
Yep.
this is a subject we could talk on for a long time, but I've had experience with that. You know, 50s, 60s, 70s, early 80s, little league programs, Connie Mack and all that. That was it, right? You made it strong. All the kids played in those leagues, and that league was very strong. And my dad played a little ball in the Navy, but not much. But he was my coach growing up, and he was my coach on. So a lot of dads were coaching baseball, but all the kids played in the league, and those were the same kids you went down to the ballpark with every day and played. So did they have all the knowledge of baseball? Some of them didn't play at all. But just because you didn't play a sport doesn't mean you can't be a good coach. Because sometimes the best athletes can't understand why a kid can't do something. Because you could do it well, that doesn't mean somebody else could do it well. So I think some of those dads did a very good job of coaching, because some of them didn't play and they didn't have assumptions in their brain. So they went through everything, you know, and throwing, fielding, all that. So then here comes, I think, a factor that comes in is the price of college. We all know that the price of college has skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
So what's come into play for parents' lives are the chance for that scholarship. And we all know what those stats are. They're not very good. 1% of high school athletes get a full ride to baseball. I mean, that's the last percentage I saw. It might have changed a little bit. But so the drive to say, oh man, if my kid can get a scholarship, then that's not $40,000 a year out of my pocket, right? There's pressure there. So what developed out of that was people started exiting the little leagues, the Connie Macks and those, to form a specialized team, because they wanted to go further than what those leagues were kind of doing, right? So Little League Baseball has always had, well, you got to play 2 innings and you got to bat and you got to do those things. Okay, I get that. I wish they would have changed a little bit, because I think the Little Leagues could have held together a little bit more with some of the rule changes. But how can you, and Little League Baseball is for everyone, right? So it's okay. But your baseball play, especially in today's world, if you're on the computer and you don't have to go to practice to play. So what happened was some kids and parents got frustrated with not being able for kids to catch the ball or whatever on their team. And so they said, we're going to form something else. Along with the price of college education rising so fast, I think all these factors came together where boom, the travel teams started, and they started picking the good athletes out of those leagues. Then came and I'll probably get a few jabs about this thing too, and you mentioned it, is you got kids that necessarily weren't playing all the time in Little League, so their dads form a team, a travel team. So and I'm stepping on some glass here. Not necessarily was that boy practicing real hard or becoming a good baseball player, but now he's playing on a travel team, and I think some of that travel team has been watered down too over the years. And hey, guys, and Mikey, you know me. Sometimes I shoot from the hip, right? I'm a straight shooter. I say what it's like. I know there's politically correct things out there, but on this part of it, I think there's a lot of that going on. But the pressure to, yes, so dads that maybe necessarily aren't really that involved form this team, and things go on that maybe aren't the best for everything. And that's a hard subject. You could talk for hours on that, but yeah, I see some of that happening too. Yeah.
Well, I like that too. That you're Nick.
Going,
wait
Josh.
a second.
Sorry.
Goodness. But I definitely agree with you, and I feel like the people that would take offense to it are usually the people that are in the wrong. Because the other ones that agree with you and they understand the game then, and they understand that this is happening. Yeah. So no, I appreciate very much that you're being very open. Now you can go, Nick.
I was gonna say I appreciate the same thing about it, because I mean you get all those dads and we have a couple of friends that listen to the podcast that coach select teams and everything, and they do a fantastic job of teaching the game. One of those fans is opening up a facility here to try to help kind of get his feet off the ground and trying to develop more coaching strategies and everything like that. But I mean, if you take a look at the idea of the dad coach, and you get all those kids in Little League. I mean, my dad was a coach, and he may not have had the best baseball knowledge, but he teamed up with like Josh's dad, one of our friend Mitch's dads, and we played Mikey's team. And I mean, we were all like, we would talk baseball knowledge all the time. And then when the three of us got into high school, it was like we realized how much that they might not have known everything about baseball, but it was like we were still prepared than a few of those other Little League kids that were sitting there and not as developed from their dads, who were just saying like they were trying to watch baseball, trying to understand it for the kid, but the kid didn't have as much interest in it. And now I think the step up with VR, where you can actually do a whole VR simulated at bat and everything like that, I think dads can start kind of getting a little bit better understanding from that as well, and attributing it to a real life game, like seeing Jacob deGrom pitch on VR and being like, okay, how can he duplicate this from watching it in a game, or how can he actually get in that bat from a pitcher who's going to just challenge you like a dog all day long?
I think you're right. The advancement of technology in baseball has been amazing. I've been blessed. I was blessed in my life, baseball life, to have coaches that my father, my high school coach, and obviously Coach Morgan, and even the coaches in my younger days in Little League. I've been blessed by a lot of people. And all I'm trying to do right now is bring that knowledge down to people that are very interested in getting better. Like, for instance, these couple teams that I monitor over at the facility, I'm working with their coaches to teach them to coach, just pass the knowledge down to them. It doesn't have to be all sophisticated, but what it has to be, you have to be organized, and you have to know the basics. I think that I tell the coaches, I laugh, I said, hey, did you go to Dick's and get your shark skin suit? And they go, what are you talking about? I said, that shark skin suit where divers wear, where if a shark bites them, it maybe tangles their teeth up and that, because you're going to have to stop those knives from going in your back when you're coaching. And they don't understand that when you first say that to them. So what am I trying to do with you? I'm trying to have you have an organized practice Kids are moving. That's what I learned from Coach Morgan tremendously was practice time. Move, 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 move. Keep moving, keep moving. Hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. Those kids are tired, but I'll tell you what, they're coming back again because you don't see somebody standing in right field picking the daisies. They're always constantly moving. And if I have a parent that comes and watches my practice, I doubt if they're going to say anything to me because they see their kid moving, doing things, doing this and doing that. So I'm a big stickler on organized practice. The guys that I work with, they know they better have that paper in their pocket that they sat down the night before, and it's a practice plan that they've done so that when they go to practice, they go boom, 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 boom. And by the end of the practice, they don't say, oh, I forgot to do this, or I forgot we didn't get enough time to do that. If you have an organized practice and you show the parents that you know that, I think that helps with that relationship as far as whether they're going to be breathing on your back or not.
Perfect. Well said. All right. Do we have, excuse me, any more questions, or do you have some questions for us, Coach Sonny?
Yeah. What are y'all doing these days? Are you still playing athletically, involved in things? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, Mikey and I are playing in the Premier League. We play in a Sunday rec league together.
Okay.
Since we played together in college, and we wanted to continue doing that post.
Excellent.
And we coach as well.
Okay.
On the side, like I'm a strength coach, and then outside of that, Mikey and I coach on the Bell West Reserve team together. So yeah, that's a little bit about it.
What level is that, Bell West Reserve?
That's
It's
freshman
high school
yeah.
freshman.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, when I was the head coach at Elyria High School, which you know, the high schools now changed to freshman, sophomore. When I was in school, it was just sophomore, junior, senior. One of the things that I did when I took on the head coaching job was I looked for that individual that I could put at the freshman level.
Mm.
Because the most important coach at that high school is the freshman coach. As a head coach, you know where your bread's buttered, and you better put that important guy at the freshman level so that those freshmen learn and they're guided with people that have patience and have the ability to push your program at the freshman level. Because I've seen a lot of programs where that didn't happen and the number of kids dropped off. They either had a bad experience or things weren't going well. So I always took a guy that could be a head coach and put him at the freshman level. And when I interviewed him, I said, this is what's going to happen. Are you okay with that? And he goes, oh, no, I'm fine with that. And so they knew what they were doing there. They could have been a head coach somewhere else or even up on the JV team or something, but the freshman level is very important to high school coaches. So I hope you guys understand that. And not to put any pressure on you or anything, but
well, feeling it now at least.
No, got the heat on.
But it is very important that those kids get a good learning environment there and a good playing environment. Hold them to the fire, man. I mean, respect the game. And what I mean by that is not running balls out to first base. You know, throwing your bat, throwing your glove on the field. Come on, let's respect the game and give it its effort that is desirable. If you're going to go on that field and you're going to represent your high school or a team or a coach or whatever, then understand what those are. What are those parameters? When somebody's watching, are they going to say, oh man, that coach has got him going, you know, he's doing a good job with them? Or is somebody going to say, look, if they don't even run down the first base, what kind of coach is that? I've always asked those questions to myself, and and hopefully I could answer them in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Young man down there in the corner, you didn't say what you were doing. Come on.
So, I currently live in Iowa right now. After college, baseball has not it's kind of dropped off a little bit. I hit every now and then in the cages, but I got a job doing video and photography for a hunting company. So pretty much it's just I'm either sitting in a tree or I try to get in the weight room as much as possible. I run another podcast as well. So I'm kind of living the other side of the dream as the baseball. I've been trying to find kind of like some of the adult leagues like Mikey and Josh to kind of get into, but
you're welcome to move down here.
Yeah, he just hates us.
You're welcome to
he
move
hates
here.
us, coach. That's what it is.
I've been trying to find some more baseball to get involved into with coaching and everything like that, but just haven't found it yet and found the schedule to fit it in. So
I understand completely, because you said something important. I think all of you are experiencing that. All my coaching jobs have been secondary. I own a small business, and I have since 1985. So from 79 through 85, I was teaching and coaching, and then I got out and started my business. But because of that, it made available to me all the coaching that I've been able to do. But it's never been something where it was my only thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are going to face the same thing. You're going to find out you're employed, you're doing things. You're going to find yourself at home, maybe reading books or looking at videos or things where other people might be watching TV and doing some other things. And that's one of the things you'll have to figure out, is the balance in your life. How do you balance your life so that you can allow those things to happen? You have to have good people behind you. I've been traveling for the last 15 summers. That's a month and a half away, 2 months away. So you always have to have good people surrounding you. But it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig, and you just got to try to do the best that you can and manage your life and all the hours that you have. And I've always said that, like a lot of these travel teams, it's not quantity, it's quality of practice. So I could probably have 2 quality practices a week versus, because I was blessed with so much people that had knowledge to give to me, I know some of those things already. So I could probably have an advantage over another person that might have to have 5 practices a week. And that's where the passing down of the knowledge comes from. Trying to teach those coaches, just have a quality practice, organized, quality, versus it's tough to have 4 or 5 practices in the summer with the way parents' travel plans are. So it's a tough gig. Yep. I found summer baseball is probably the hardest job I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Hardest job I've ever had as coaching. When you're in high school and you kind of got the program under, you decide what the program's going to be. I mean, you got in summer baseball, and if you're coaching younger kids, they don't necessarily know what the program is. They're just coming to play ball, and you're trying to unite them under a thing to make sure that thing gels. Same thing with the summer collegiate leagues. I remember when I first got involved, I coached with Joe Charbonneau, who played for the Cleveland Indians, American League Rookie of the Year. Kevin Romberg, who played for the Indians. So here I am, I'm up against guys I'm learning from guys that played in the major leagues. Did I know all they did? Heck no, but I sure listened a lot. I listened a lot, but it's a hard job, because you have 35, 40 kids coming together from all different programs. And it's not about you. A little bit of it is you try to organize signs, everybody has to have the same sign on that team. And, I could remember, I don't think I remember giving Mikey the steel sign a few times, but there are some.
Golly.
That's what I'm talking about. But that was baseball IQ going on. He was looking at the pitcher, seeing what was happening, Now, when he got to second base, I'm glad he was safe because I was looking at him and I was saying, he knew my lips were saying, you better be safe. You're lucky you're safe. No, I just opened it.
I'm not that slow. Pretty slow, but damn.
I didn't say you were slow.
It's implied there.
And as fast as he was in Little League, I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
You know what, Mikey came to he came to the, him and I kind of in the beginning, I was making him toe the line. And, he was looking at me sometimes, some of the things I said, probably he was looking at me and going, but it was a great time, there you go, of a kid that was a sponge. I mean, I was saying things and he didn't have to acknowledge it all the time. He didn't have to say, oh yeah, coach, oh yeah, thanks. But he heard me and he heard some things I said. And then when it went on the field, I could see him trying to do those things. And that's all he asked. Was he trying his positioning a little bit differently? Because maybe, and I associate that with, I didn't have the greatest arm in college from third base. I was an All-American third baseman, but I didn't have the arm like some of these other guys. So what did that mean? My positioning on the field was different. I played a little bit closer to the bag. I played a little bit closer to the infield edge, the grass edge. And then I had to become quicker at my reflexes. So I practiced that in practice by guys hitting balls hard at me because I had to play there. I couldn't play deep. If I played deep, the guy was going to probably beat the throw. And so is that a knock? No, that's not a knock. That's just knowing your skill level and knowing where you should play. And I have to talk about that a second because I think one of the biggest challenges that a lot of kids have is understanding their skill level and knowing what they can do really well and maybe what they can't do. So let me use the third baseman, for example, because we were there. One of the challenges I have is the modern day philosophy of baseball is with 2 outs, you play the third baseman way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to have to tell you, there's some guys that have arms to throw from there. But if you're a pitcher and you got 2 outs and a guy hits a slow chopper down to third base and you're playing way back and you don't have the strong enough arm to throw him out, and then all of a sudden that keeps an inning going. Those are the type of things I talk about in baseball that maybe have changed a little bit. Where if I know if I would have been playing, I would have been maybe 2 steps behind the bag, if that, and I would have thrown that guy out. And we would have got out of the inning instead of it being extended. So I always tell players, know your skills and become very good at them. If you don't have the arm, why are you playing it way, way back at third base? Other than the fact that, ooh, that's the cool thing to do today. I get it. I understand, but come on, man. Let's know those skill levels. Yeah.
Perfect.
Very well said.
All right. Well, I believe that's all we got for you today. Go ahead. I know you got a lesson to get to, but we appreciate you again sitting down with us and taking time out to talk a little bit. So,
yeah. Guys, I appreciate it. If there's another time you want me to come back, I'd love to. I love
absolutely.
I love giving the knowledge out, and not that you guys don't know that, but it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to do those things, and to be asked to do that. Thanks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, I just want to, and I'll speak for the other two. Yeah, thanks again for coming on. It really means a lot to us, just having you and your knowledge and everything that you've kind of been through, and be able to share all that with us. I know we'd definitely love to have you on again another time for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew, I signed a contract with the Kokomo Jackrabbits.
I did not.
Yeah, I'll
cool.
be coaching in the Northwoods League.
Yeah.
Hobbs is the head coach, and I'm the associate head coach. So I got to look at that guy's face, a lot this summer, and that's going to be hard to do because obviously I'm better looking than that. But
oh, most definitely.
We hit
Get
it
after
off.
it.
We hit it off pretty good, and that league is going back to like what we were in the New England League. Like I said, different leagues have different philosophies. I was looking for, guys, I'm 67 now. So I'm looking at my baseball career as, okay, what do I got coming, going? So I wanted to get a little bit more competitive this summer as far as that nothing against Cornbelt League. Cornbelt League's great. I loved it. Developmental. I love doing that. This is more show up and play the game, and you still work with kids, but it's dog eat dog. It's those things. Plus, it puts me in a position where a little bit more critical managing wise and that, which I wanted. So it's going to be good. It's all good. Joe Siwa does a great thing with the Cornbelt League. I love Joe and his family. It was a great time. I love the kids we had there and how we could develop them. And I think it's just different philosophies at different leagues when you go to them. But it should be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I know Omaha's going to be we'll definitely miss you from a coaching standpoint for sure. But I know that the Northwoods League will be great, especially with both you and Hobbs back on the same staff again.
Maybe there's something we can do during the summer or something. You guys come on over and see us. We'd love to have.
That'd be awesome.
Is everyone in Omaha there?
No, Nick is in Iowa.
I'm in Iowa
because he hates us. So
he's in Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. How far? Where at in Iowa?
So I'm about 2 hours and 20 minutes from Omaha. So not too entirely far.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yep.
Well, I don't criticize people where they live, and
we do.
I do.
Bless. Thank you. Somebody is on my side.
He's been on you like dirt on the floor, boy. I'll tell you, he's been on you bad in this session. But no, you guys are more than welcome to come on over to Kokomo this summer if you can make it. Coach Hobbs and I will treat you right. You know that. And I loved Omaha. It was a good time. Yeah.
I know you guys with your own separate teams is great. You guys obviously both know your same stuff, but not the same stuff. You guys obviously know your baseball stuff. God. But I think you guys on the same coaching staff is just that much more better, just with each of your guys' knowledge, being able to pour that into the kids. Yeah, grammar is my first language. What's up?
That's not even okay.
My
brain hurts after that one.
I just let it go. Great for the kids having both you guys back on the same staff again. So the Northwoods League is in good hands with you guys for sure.
Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you, you too, Coach.
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
And that was Coach Sonny. That was, again, a really great interview, and hoping to catch him and Hobbs. Maybe we could do like a joint interview. Yeah. That's what I was just
thinking. That'd be dope.
Maybe sitting down with them. Maybe even take a visit and do like a kind of all together, like in studio kind of interview. That'd be sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we can get them on, they'll probably bicker just like we do. They're pretty funny when they're together.
I'd love to see that.
I don't know if I can be around Nick that long though.
I can't either. So he's gonna
everybody's dogging.
You and I can go.
Fine. He's gonna smell like Iowa.
Oh, gross.
Hey, it's a Cornhusker state this year, so it helps.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, for the boys.
For the boys.
Okay. So since you're already here, please like and subscribe to our channel. Again, you can find us obviously on YouTube, No Place Like Homaha. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Shout out Cronyo Media for helping us get onto those platforms. But again, anywhere you get your podcast, we'll be there. Please also Just if you have any suggestions on what we should put on the show, anyone you want to try to see on, all that kind of stuff. We are in the works of still continuing to get interviews, just to kind of reach out to you guys. Again, the interviews we've done so far have gone amazingly. Be sure to check out all those as well. And just continue to let us know what you guys like to see. Guys, got anything else?
Yeah. I know I already said this right at the end of that with him before he signed off, but I just want to say thanks to Coach for taking, an hour out of your day, out of your busy day to kind of talk to us. It's great talking to you again, seeing you, and just thank you for your time with us today. So
awesome. All righty.
Finger guns.
Well, we have been the No Place Like Homaha podcast. We'll catch you. Again, our next upload should also be another interview. But again, just continuing to get those down. Catch you guys later.